Now is the time to fall in line. You swore that you would, so be true to your vow. Let's all be Americans now.
The official language of the United States and the state of Iowa is the English language. Freedom of speech is guaranteed by federal and state constitutions, but this is not a guarantee of the right to use a language other than the language of this country, the English language. This is the beginning of the Babel Proclamation of May 23, 1918, which prohibited the use of all languages other than English in the state of Iowa. This was a result of the overwhelming anti-German sentiment following the sinking of the Lusitania and America's entry into World War I. Many other states issued their own bans of the German language. However, Iowa was unique in that all foreign languages were banned, that is, any language other than English. First, English should and must be the only medium of instruction in public, private, denominational, or other similar schools. Second, conversation in public places, on trains, and over the telephone should be in the English language. Third, all public addresses should and must be in the English language. Fourth, let those who cannot speak or understand the English language conduct their religious worship in their homes. This course, carried out in the spirit of patriotism, though inconvenient to some, will not interfere with their guaranteed constitutional rights and will result in peace and tranquility at home and greatly strengthen the country in battle. The blessings of the United States are so great that any inconvenience or sacrifice should willingly be made for their perpetuity. The proclamation was stamped with the official seal of Iowa and signed by Governor William Harding. Ironically, Harding had been elected to office through the support of many German Americans. Although the proclamation was repealed on December 4, 1918, German Americans in Iowa faced many prejudices because of their language. Take this letter written to Governor Harding, for example, which complains that the proclamation is not treated with respect here in this locality. People are constantly using the telephone to talk their German language. In fact, these people who disobey the law would, if possible, kill and murder all others if they would not be found out. This letter is charmingly signed, An American Patriot. This type of tattletale letter was very common during this time. Loyal patriots all across Iowa wrote to the governor or to their local defense council to report anything, from German being spoken on the street to a German-American farmer who was not tending to his fields properly. Violating the Babel Proclamation could and did lead to arrests, and the easiest way to be caught speaking German was over the telephone, as the party lines of the day lent themselves to eavesdroppers. In fact, a few telephone companies protested against the proclamation, fearing that German Americans would stop using the telephone if they were not allowed to speak on it in their native language. But German-speaking Iowans were not the only group affected by the Babel Proclamation. As the law forbade all languages other than English, Norwegian Americans, Dutch Americans, Swedish Americans, and others were also forbidden from speaking their native languages. Here is a letter written to Governor Harding by a Bohemian pastor requesting permission to continue his sermons in Czech. Over half of my congregation are people who are either too old to learn the English language or immigrants who have not yet learned the English language well enough to understand the English sermon. These people among whom I work are all as loyal to this country as any born Americans can be. For this reason, I beg you to consider my request to be allowed to carry on the work in the only language my people understand. Although the Babel Proclamation was not enforced for long, the anti-German sentiment that accompanied it had lasting effects. Many names were Americanized, whether they were personal names, businesses, or even town names. For example, Berlin and Germania, Iowa, both changed their names during the First World War to Lincoln and Lakota, respectively. By the time the Supreme Court declared that Americans were free to speak any language in 1923, the German Americans of Iowa had already mostly assimilated, losing their native language and culture to American patriotism.
When real trouble came, and I feel somehow they are wondering now if we'll do the same. It's up to you. What will you do? England or France may have your sympathy.